All right, my name is Vijay Segar. I'm a Director of Product Management in the Enterprise Networking Group, responsible for WAN technologies, including performance optimization and security.
Hi, I'm Shikha Mittal. I'm a Product Manager in the Enterprise Networking Group, and I'm handling the recent relationship that we have with Akamai in the WAN optimization group.
Matt Oswald. I'm a network engineer, software guy, and I blog at keepingitclassless.net.
Jonathan Davis. I work for a large enterprise customer. You can find me on Twitter at Subnetwork or online at subnetwork.me.
Pete Welcher, longtime CCIE route switch data center, work for a Cisco Gold partner focused on services, blog at netcraftsman.net.
Amy Engineer. I'm a network engineer in the public sector, and I blog at amyengineer.com.
Rob Coot, system analyst with the K-12 school division, on Twitter at Rob_Coot and online at networkconnect.com.
Rob Novak, I'm a Deep General sysadmin. I blog at Ristus11.com and I'm on Twitter as GalopRogan.
Ethan Banks, network engineer for a telemed company called CareNection, co-host of the Packet Pushers podcast, CCIE, and I blog at ethancbanks.com and I'm on Twitter at ECBanks.
My name is Taryn Bryson. I do stuff with computers. I work for a partner, and as a consulting engineer, you can find me online at @someclown.
Tony Mackey, network engineer. You can find me on Twitter at TONHE.
Stephen Ochagrosso, senior network engineer for retail. On Twitter at Stephen086 and blogging at CCIE or null.net.
Ed Henry, senior engineer for a regional service provider in the state of Connecticut. You can find me on Twitter at NetworkNerdNerd3.
I'm Bob McCouch. I'm an independent consultant, available for engagement. I blog at herdingpackets.net, and I'm on Twitter as @BobMcCouch.
William Bell. I'm a collaboration engineer. I work for a professional services company in the Mid-Atlantic region. I blog on UC Gorilla, and I have a Twitter handle, UC Gorilla.
Blake Croney. I connect people with cans and strings minus the strings, host of the No Strings Attached Show podcast at NSA Show and nsashow.com.
All right, thank you for joining us today. And Lauren Friedman was kind enough to invite me and Shika to talk to you about the Akamai offer that we are bringing to market and how it fits into the Cisco Intelligent WAN solution. So before we go into how Akamai fits into Cisco's Intelligent WAN, does anyone have a good understanding of Cisco's Intelligent WAN? I could spend a few minutes on that.
Not a good understanding.
Not a good understanding. All right, perfect. That's why I asked the question.
Just a little bit.
All right, small leading question there. So the Intelligent WAN is really modeled around how do we essentially enable customers to create a fabric across their wide area network that connects routers and end users in the branch to applications and services wherever they may be, in the data center or the cloud, across whatever underlying transport technology that they happen to use, be it 3G, 4G, MPLS, internet, or something else. And we want to be able to enable customers to deliver and consume those services with security and performance, so they essentially have two things: a LAN-like performance, to the extent that we can ever deliver a LAN-like performance halfway around the world, and also with really a comfort level and more of an elastic DMZ type of a security model. So if I move an application from point A data center into the cloud, and I move a user from one branch in one country to another branch in another country, they have that same security posture and same security model. Okay, so does that answer your question with regards to the vision and a little bit of what Cisco's Intelligent WAN is? All right, so how does Akamai fit into the solution? Well, Akamai is, many people don't realize this, they're pretty much the biggest, probably the biggest, one of the biggest, probably one of the biggest enterprise clouds that are out there today. Pretty much almost all of your business traffic, your commerce traffic, goes through Akamai. And Akamai will do two things to it. It will intelligently cache it, so you could have optimal performance for a bunch of websites that I don't think I'm allowed to talk about, as well as actually, believe it or not, they do quite a bit of traffic engineering with their internet overlay. So they will actually optimize not just the path that's taken across the internet, but actually optimize the protocols and the application across the internet so that you can deliver this rich set of services to people who are buying stuff on the internet, right? E-commerce, think of Akamai for CDN. Well, it's pretty cool, right? You could have a really rich experience when you're browsing the web and shopping on your e-commerce site of choice, but not so cool that you can't really get that same level of benefit when you are sitting in your office in a regional branch or in a retail environment with things like omnichannel. So essentially, Cisco and Akamai, back in October timeframe, decided, wouldn't it be cool if we can deliver that same type of experience and capability to business users, not just end users and consumers. So essentially what we're doing, and it's very simple with the Akamai and Cisco solution, we're essentially extending the Akamai cloud, and it's called the Akamai Intelligent Platform, into the branch. And we're doing it by integrating the Akamai Intelligent Platform into the HTTP proxy that's part of the WaaS stack that's available for use in all of your ISR-AX routers that you can buy today and you've been able to buy for the last couple of years. Question? No? Okay. So what does that allow us to do? It allows us to do a... Yes?
Say that one more time. What's the connection between the ISR and into Akamai? It is web proxy.
So we have an HTTP proxy that's part of the WaaS stack that's integrated into the ISR-AX.
WaaS is the WAN optimization piece. Yeah.
Right. So that allows us to really provide some additive benefits. It allows us to literally cache and deliver content across that congested last mile. And it allows the Akamai Intelligent Platforms Management Station to actually take everything that they know about the internet, all of the metadata rules that they have and they've had over the past and they are going to continue to learn in the future, and essentially program the cache on the router. So you'll be able to cache things like YouTube, which use various URL techniques to either do cache avoidance or actually more realistically, they will change the URL so they'll be able to do some personalization and customization. So if Shika and I were to go to the same website accessing a YouTube video, it's not actually going to be the same URL. Akamai actually helps the router understand that by pre-programming the rules so that when I go to Home Depot to buy something for my house, which I'm actually doing pretty much every weekend now, and Shika actually is going to look at the same thing, that same object will be cached, even though it might actually have a different tag.
Now, one question I had is, because we got a briefing on this the other day, and the one question I had was internally, you know, what happens? I understand the concept, right? So if you go to a place and like you said, you cache it, and then somebody else goes to that same place, they're going to get the cached rather than the public version or whatever. But internally, if you've got 500 routers and you're caching across the world, are you really just bringing in I guess the Akamai stuff into your own network and essentially caching it personal to your network as opposed to going out and relying on Akamai to do the same thing they've always done?
Sure.
I mean, what's the load on your router too? Isn't that a second question that comes out? Now you're bringing that load into your own network.
It's actually quite minimal, but we could let Shika speak to the details there.
So actually what we are doing with Akamai is we are leveraging the intelligence that they have. So they have the metadata for that content essentially. So we are leveraging that intelligence and bringing that into the branch in our ISR-AX. So yes, the content is actually going to be stored locally. So you're completely offloading that request that would have otherwise gone on the branch. And this is different from even byte level caching. This is now the entire object is going to get served locally at that branch. So yes, if there are different routers, so you're essentially leveraging the disk space on those routers to be able to store that content locally.
That's your question?
HTTP only?
Yes, so this is the HTTP. So you know, we've heard of this before where HTTP is like the new TCP, where there's a lot of content there, and YouTube is a great example. So yes, it is HTTP object caching, which we are doing now. And the YouTube instance is actually quite relevant because HTTP caching, if you think about it, is not new technology. I mean, it's been there for quite a while, nothing so fancy about it. But what Akamai does to differentiate is to be able to cache sites with dynamic URLs like YouTube, and then down the line we will be able to support things like Netflix, Facebook, they all come in under this over-the-top category. And the other thing which we are able to leverage Akamai for is what they call Akamai Connected Cache. This is where we are able to go beyond what the HTTP directives say in the header in terms of cacheable or not cacheable.
How many of you folks are Akamai customers or understand the Akamai offer?
You all are, actually.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
all consume
Not
Akamai.
directly, but yes.
Yes.
It's different for being a customer. If you're a customer, they want money from you.
That's right. That is a true statement.
I'm a past customer.
But that is a true statement, and that's a key point with the Akamai Connected Cache. The ability to take the commerce rules and the metadata rules that the line of business owners have created for their retail environment or for their business environment shouldn't stop when I leave my house and go to Starbucks and then come into the branch office or the retail store, right? By extending the Akamai Intelligent Portal into the branch, we're actually enabling that metadata and those rule sets to be extended directly into the branch. So we've talked just primarily about the caching component right now, but I also highlighted that one of the objectives of the Intelligent WAN is actually, quite frankly, to make the WAN work better, right? To enable the applications that are being delivered and consumed over the WAN be more LAN-like. So Akamai, as a cloud provider, is really also, quite frankly, an overlay network of networks on the internet. So we'll be able to leverage that overlay network that they use for their own content distribution and start to deliver that for essentially WAN fabric services to enterprise customers. So that will give them a very, very flexible model to provide more reliable, higher performance internet connectivity pretty much anywhere in the world. Okay? And I think the Akamai platform has the expectation of being somewhere within 10 to 15 milliseconds of anywhere in the world, with the possible exception of Antarctica. Okay, so that's pretty much what the vision is of the solution.
So I guess my question is,
sure.
A lot of the techniques that you're talking about there are features that have been in the WaaS product for a long time, right? I mean, caching and compression between systems. So I'm not trying to
what's new?
What's new? So what's the secret sauce that Akamai's
Couple things.
That makes it that much better?
One is WaaS does the byte level caching, and it's a symmetric solution. Okay? Akamai will allow you to do object level caching, and it is an asymmetric solution.
So can you tell me what the differentiation is?
Yeah, so with a symmetric solution, WaaS will be able to do byte level caching of traffic that originates from the enterprise data center and is consumed at the branch. However, with BYOD, with cloud-based delivery of applications, increasingly traffic is either coming from the internet via direct internet access or via a regional hub. So the solution now is much more topology agnostic, in addition to being transport agnostic. So we will be able to cache traffic from the internet that comes via directly the internet via to the branch or via a regional hub without traversing the head end in the data center. So that's one key benefit. So I will be able to do all of my internet offload directly and still cache it. Another benefit and another difference is what actually can be cached at the object level, right? We can cache, and we could also pre-position content, which we can't do with WaaS today, right? So that first hit latency, no solution for. And you know, in a retail environment, or increasingly, believe it or not, in educational environments where we're talking to a lot of educational customers where they will be doing interactive teaching. If you look at LA Unified School District, the level of immersion that they are providing to their students is amazing compared to just 5 or 6 years ago when I was in high school, right? It's crazy. That was a joke, by the way, a bad one.
Yeah, and when you have all these students, right, like, you know, with the LA Unified School District, they're giving an iPad to all the students. They're all accessing the same content. We have other school districts, actually, we just spoke to several of them in Australia, where they're struggling with the issue where all the students are going to YouTube. So no amount of bandwidth is ever enough in a school environment. So they're looking at the caching solution because, one, they can actually pre-position a lot of that curriculum, which all students will go to. So the teacher can pre-position that curriculum, saves a lot of bandwidth. And because we're able to cache YouTube now, they don't have to constantly go chase the bandwidth story. Right? So a lot of benefit there.
There's another benefit that we talked about as well that you touched upon in terms of differentiation versus WaaS, the Cisco WAN optimization solution. It's the fact that we're going to be now relying and increasingly leveraging over time Akamai's, essentially their overlay network, their cloud network that is essentially a carrier of carriers. So we'll be able to deliver higher performance, lower cost services for connectivity to a broad segment of users. Literally just being able to plug in your network into the Akamai network and then overlay and steer traffic to it based upon business policies. Right? What is the SLA for a particular application? Not just what is the lowest hop count cost path. Right?
No, what does the, no, I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to ask what the, so in terms of kind of deployment, is this an add-on to the WaaS module? Is it
great question.
Licensing on top of the WaaS module? Is it a separate thing altogether?
Great.
And how much storage do you have the ability of caching there?
So great question.
great mind. Something about great mind.
Yeah.
Great question. It is a software function that is integrated into the WaaS stack. So starting with the 5.4 version of the WaaS software that's available in the appliances, in router integrated form factor, so on, it will be part of the software solution, and it's literally one checkbox to enable the Akamai connected cache functionality.
So it's an add-on license essentially, which you can add on to your ISR AX or to your WaaS. And like Vijay said, we are supporting all WaaS form factors except WaaS Express, where caching is not meaningful really. So you can, all your modular routers, you can run WaaS on an SRE module or virtual WaaS, integrated in the ISR WaaS or in the Wave appliance.
But to enable the Akamai functionality, there's an additional license.
There is an additional license.
That is correct. There's an additional license that you will add on. In fact, we are launching now in Cisco Live. We are on the main floor, so if you were to walk by the Akamai, we call it Akamai Connect, you can actually see a live demo of that caching benefit kick in. And one other question which we hear from customers is whether this is just the Akamai HTTP caching, but please note that the first request that goes out will get all the benefits of WaaS. So you still have TFO, compression, data redundancy, elimination, all of that is going to kick in anyway for your first request. Subsequent requests are going to be served locally because it is the content is cached locally. So you get best of both worlds essentially.
So I think there was another half to the question.
Yes, the cache size. That was your question, right? So the cache sizes, I don't remember off the top of my head, but we do have various cache sizes based upon essentially the platform that you're choosing.
But it's the same hardware options as the existing WaaS.
Yes.
So whatever those flavors.
Yes, it's just an add-on.
Especially with the compute that's integrated into the routers, you have extensibility and flexibility in terms of the size of the hard drive you buy, how many cores you buy, compute, so on and so forth. So essentially what we're going to be increasingly doing over time is decoupling the function and the scale and the delivery of that function from the underlying hardware component. Okay?
Yeah, because flash memory comes to mind, or just needing more, because if you're storing a whole bunch of YouTube.
That's right. That's right. And that's another area where we actually can really take advantage of some of the Akamai metadata and their knowledge of the internet and some of the pre-positioning capability that we're adding to the device as well. Because you could pretty much create an infinite size cache and you get diminishing returns. Akamai is...
The question is, can it automatically figure out that a new version of Apple's iOS has dropped and pre-position it before the wave hits?
So that is
90% serious with that question.
Well, so you should be 100% confident that that's our direction. We want to start to do some predictive and pre-positioning capabilities based on business rules.
And when we do, Akamai will be the only vendor who is legally be able to do this because they have a partnership with Apple.
But the key point is the tie to the business rules. That's what differentiates it from a traditional cache, a traditional web cache. Okay? I have, it looks like 14 or 15 seconds left. So, any more questions?
Well, I just had
Sure, shoot.
I wanted to ask about application visibility control and what impacts might be happening. Because if you're pre-positioning a lot of your content, you're trying to cache it. I mean, I'm more concerned about just outright blocking access to YouTube for the kids on their iPads, except for the content that I know that they should be accessing.
Right.
How does my AVC rules then play into when I start to do the caching? Can I cache and block, or is it one
So
or the other?
AVC is part and parcel of the IBAN fabric. So you get all the benefits of AVC, and so we can then, if you were to have those rules first, we can interoperate with the caching rules.
Okay.
It's a sequencing issue, right? And we can manage that. Yes, sir.
Question. Is this a one-way relationship, as in once it's cached, or are your edge routers now part of Akamai's content delivery network available for other users, or is this just for your branch offices?
No,
I'm not sure. Could you clarify the question?
Well, do your edge routers now sort of become a node within the Akamai content delivery network?
We are
outbound, or is this only for your users, the cached content?
So the caching, when you say for your users, there's really guest users. There's also business users. So that cache will be able to literally cache any HTTP content, be it internet content for a guest or business web content. So I think the answer to your question is it will be able to do both, if I understood that correctly.
Can other users
from outside the
So it is,
use the content?
No.
No.
It doesn't become a peer on the Akamai.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. We leverage the intelligence, but the Akamai overlay has a boundary, right?
Yeah.
It's like, think of it as virtually extending it, yes, but we don't.
But only one way.
Yeah, only one way. Yes.
Any other questions now that I'm a minute or so over? All right. Thank you very much for your time, and hopefully you will have a good rest of the week here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.